But Yeongjo's mother is from the humble origin. So he had a lot of this inferiority complex, like, well, I'm not the legitimate son of the king and the, like, of course, he's the son of the king, but there is no equivalent queen, right? The mother was from the humble origin. Anyhow, he wanted to raise his son really well. But the son was a little bit more bohemian in spirit. Well, some people say he suffered from some mental illness, so he was not conforming to the etiquette or regulations of the. So Yeongjo eventually ordered the son to be killed in the wooden box in the hot summer, and he died in there after how many days? 7 or 8 days. Imagine how cruel that is. You order your own child there. So that he was very nice to the dead son's child, Jeongjo. So Jeongjo also had complex, right? Like he grew up without the father. So he made his father's tomb really nicely in this new town of Pasong. And then he made fortress. And then later on, I'm going to show you another important painting that Jeongjo went to Pasong with his mother, mother of the king, and that was a great procession. So I can show you that image later. Anyhow, so it's a European castle system. That's what he did, based on European science books. So we need to study a little bit about this Shilhak movement, and that is Shilhak movement is this. So the Manchu conquest of China. Well, actually, I should not read this. Let's find somebody else and read that nice. Catherine, can you read this?
I'm really, really bad at reading and pronouncing.
Oh, okay. So I'm going to skip to Christopher Coughlin. That's okay, Catherine. Christopher?
Oh, yeah. Do you want me to read just the first paragraph?
Yes.
Okay. With the Manchu conquest of China, Joseon officials and scholars began to question China's role as the leader and center of civilization, and to embark on explorations of things new. New schools of thought emerged. In philosophy, Sirach called for the re-examination of land distribution policies, class differences, and the economy. The flourishing of cultural activity was not limited to the Yangban, but also occurred in lower classes. There was an increase in vernacular writing in Hangul throughout.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Christopher. So here, the Shilhak also exists in Joseon, right? You saw the example of scientific tools for the benefit of agriculture made by King Sejong and his scholars. But if you come to the late Joseon dynasty, they also consider social problems. So they were thinking of re-examination of land distribution, class differences, and then the economic disparity. And then there was also a demand from middle class, like, remember, like Jung-in, as well as ordinary citizens, that Yangban, they have too many hereditary privileges. Why, the world goes around the Yangban. So there are a lot of social inequalities that people felt to their hearts. So ordinary citizens, they also demanded a share in political power and economic development. But how do we know about this? We know about this because there are a lot of writings in Hangul. So it's not just about intellectuals who can write in Chinese characters, but ordinary people, including women who write in Hangul, Korean alphabets, about their own social problems or their own social ills. So here, one example of class differences is the best I always feel it's a little bit funny, bastard children of Yangban. I mean, in English, bastard is not a good word, right? It's a negative connotation, but it means, in a way, it's like a illegitimate children of Yangban. Again, it's the case of Kyunghee. It's the same problem. So fathers from the noble lineage of the Yangban family, but the wife, they always had one legitimate wife, right? But then they can also have concubines or second, third, fourth wives. But these wives don't have equal rights or legitimate status. So children born out of these concubines, they cannot inherit family fortune. They cannot go into the official government service. And they are called 서자. It was the Korean name for, it's more like a shadow child. It means, literally means a shadow child. You don't want to live in the shadows of other people, right? You want to work legitimately. So Jongjo, for example, he honored or he valued intellectual contributions of Seoja. He sometimes gave them title, but officially in this government entrance exam, like government civil service exam, Seoja cannot apply. So in a way, they are secondary in their position. It's sort of a illegitimate in certain way that they are even below Sangmin. Economically, they can be wealthy, right? If father gives them land or father gives them capitals or the fortune of the family, they can live well, but they cannot have official title, they cannot have official position, they cannot live fully as a contributing person. So what they usually did was they became intellectuals or cultural figures. So that is sad. And then another social problem is always privileging the intellectual circle of people. So that what about the ordinary citizens, right? So based on this new awareness, right, like a really recognition of social problems, painters also developed two different subject matters. So instead of painting Chinese landscape or imitations of Chinese landscape all the time, they wanted to create a authentic Korean subject matters. So those were, one is genre painting, the everyday life of Korean people. And then the next one is they wanted to paint real views, true views of a Korean landscape. So I'm going to read this. The two painting types or subject matters are frequently cited as evidence of the increasing emphasis on the development of a Korean cultural identity and are among the most celebrated artistic achievements of the late Joseon Dynasty. So I wanted to understand this cultural background, why there are suddenly two different subject matters coming in. And I want to show you its origin and examples so that you, by the end of this lecture, you can fully understand why there are two different subject